All right, if you're a business in India that moves goods from point A to point B, there's one document that you absolutely need to get right. It's called the E-way bill. And honestly, you can think of it as a digital passport for your products. Get it right, and it's smooth sailing. Get it wrong, well, you could hit some serious roadblocks. So let's break down exactly how this crucial system works.
It wasn't that long ago that shipping goods across India was a real headache. I'm talking trucks just sitting there, idling for hours and hours at state checkposts, with drivers drowning in mountains of physical paperwork. It was a massive bottleneck that literally slowed down the entire economy. The e-way bill was created to completely smash that bottleneck, swapping out all those physical barriers for one single unified digital system. And the result? Well, goods are moving way faster, and the supply chain is finally starting to keep up with the speed of modern business.
So what exactly is this digital gate pass? Well, it was designed with two main goals in mind. First, to track the movement of goods and prevent tax evasion. And second, to finally get rid of those incredibly inefficient physical checkposts for good. It's really a cornerstone of India's whole goods and services tax system, or GST. Here's the official definition. And you know what? It's refreshingly simple. At its heart, an e-way bill is just an electronic record. You generate it on the GST portal, and it acts as the official proof that your goods are on the move. That's it. It's the digital stamp of approval that your shipment is legitimate. Okay, now we get to the big one. The question every business owner asks: when do I actually need to generate one of these? It all boils down to one very important number.
Let's just put ourselves in that situation for a second. You've got an order, it's packed up, and it's ready to go out the door. What's the trigger? How do you know if you need to hit pause and generate an e-way bill first? And here's the magic number: 50,000 rupees. If the value of your shipment, what the government calls the consignment value, is more than 50,000 rupees, then getting an e-way bill isn't optional, it's mandatory. But that, of course, leads to the next question: what exactly counts as consignment value? And this is a super important detail to get right. Consignment value is not just the price of your goods before tax. Nope, it's the total invoice value. That means it's the base price plus any GST you've charged on top. So let's say you sell something for 48,000 rupees. You might think you're in the clear, but then you add 18% GST, and suddenly your total invoice is over 56,000. That's over the threshold, which means you 100% need an e-way bill for that shipment. All right, so you've done the math, and your shipment is over the limit. You definitely need an e-way bill. The good news is, the process itself is pretty straightforward. It's really just broken down into two main parts.
You've got Part A and you've got Part B. Part A is all about the shipment itself, what the goods are and where they're headed. And Part B is all about the ride, how those goods are actually getting there.
Part A is typically on the supplier to fill out. It's the what and where of the whole deal. You'll need the GST numbers for both the sender and the receiver, the delivery address, the invoice details, the value of the goods, and, of course, the reason for the transport.
Then comes Part B, the second half of the puzzle, the how. This is where the transport details go, and the most important piece of info here is the vehicle number. Now, this part is usually filled in by the transporter, and it's absolutely critical because an e-way bill is not actually valid for movement until Part B is filled out.
Let's be real, logistics are messy. Things rarely go perfectly according to plan. Trucks break down, routes change, and sometimes we just make mistakes. The good news is the e-way bill system has built-in ways to handle these real-world curveballs.
First off, let's talk about timing. Your e-way bill isn't valid forever. It has an expiration date. And it's all based on distance. It's pretty simple. For any trip up to 200 kilometers, it's valid for 1 day. For every extra 200 kilometers after that, or even just a part of it, you get 1 additional day.
So, what happens when things go wrong inside that validity period? What if you've already generated the bill, but then you spot a typo? Or worse, the truck carrying your goods breaks down on the side of the highway.
You basically have two main options. If you made a mistake on the bill itself, here's the deal. You can't edit it. You have to cancel it, and you only have 24 hours to do so, and then generate a whole new correct one. But if the problem is with the truck, say it breaks down, the fix is much easier. The transporter can just go in and update Part B with the new vehicle's number before the shipment continues on its way. Okay, now for some really good news. There are actually a bunch of situations where you can forget this whole process entirely. So let's take a look at some of the common exceptions to the e-way bill rule.
Yeah, the list of exceptions is pretty specific. For example, you don't need an e-way bill if you're using something like a horse-drawn cart, or if you're just moving your own used personal belongings. It also doesn't apply to certain specific goods like LPG for home use or empty cargo containers.
So we've gone through the what, the when, and the how. But before we wrap up, we need to talk about the why. Why is being compliant so incredibly important? Well, because the consequences for not playing by the rules can be really, really severe for a business.
I mean, what's the actual risk here? Are we just talking about a fine, a small penalty? The truth is, it can be a whole lot more serious than that. This right here is the ultimate penalty. If your compliance is poor, your GST identification number, your GSTIN, can actually be blocked from generating new e-way bills. And think about that for a second. If you can't generate an e-way bill, you can't legally ship your goods. Your entire operation could literally grind to a halt.
So what triggers a block like this? It's not arbitrary. The system is automated. It's going to block your access if you fail to file your tax returns for 2 straight periods. It'll also block you if you haven't filed your GST-R1, that's your statement of sales, for any 2 months or quarters. It creates a direct, unbreakable link between how disciplined you are with your tax filings and your basic ability to ship your products.
When you really look at it, the e-way bill is so much more than just another digital form. It's a fundamental piece of India's big shift towards a more transparent, efficient, and digital supply chain. It forces this tight connection between your tax compliance and your day-to-day operations. So I guess the real question it leaves all of us with is this: is your business truly ready to operate in this new digital reality?